What's going on, you guys? It's John again. Welcome back. You could have clicked any video on the internet, but you chose to click this one. So, learning does not stop whenever you get out of school or finish school or drop out of school. There are a lot of people that think that the moment that they get out of high school or get out of college or whatever, the moment that they are done with school, they are finished with the school system, that somehow means that that's the end of their learning journey. They no longer have to learn stuff anymore. Now they just get to screw off and do whatever they want to do all the time and just lay down and just let life pass them by and then just not give a shit anymore and just, you know, all this type of stuff. Um that's not a good mindset to have, and I don't think that that's true at all. I know for me personally, I did go to college. I went to high school, and then when I graduated from high school, I went to a 4-year university. Okay, so I am someone who went to college. If you guys are curious, I went to college to study film and television production. Okay, and so I am someone who really was not a big fan of school. Like I hated school. I hated high school. I liked what I learned in college. I liked being in college for the things that I was learning, but I didn't really like going to college. You know what I mean? I'm not like a school person. You know what I mean? I'm not someone who likes to be held down in that system where it's like they have a pre-made, identity for you or whatever. I'm someone who couldn't wait to get out of school. That way I could be free and live my life and be who I am, you know what I mean, and do the things that I wanted to do, not the things that school promotes or that school wants you to do and the person they want you to be in school and that kind of thing. So the point of what I'm saying is, for me personally, when I got out of school, that was almost like when my life started. You know what I mean? That's when it was like, okay, now I'm out of this prison system. You know what I mean? And now I can actually just live my life and be me and do the things that I want to do in life. And for me, that was almost the beginning of my learning journey. That was the beginning of my search for wisdom, my search for meaning, my search for, what is going on in this reality, my deep yearning for, you know, understanding the universe and understanding myself and understanding what this reality is all about. You know what I mean? But for a lot of people, when they get out of school, for them, that's like the moment where it's like, well, now I no longer exist. You know what I mean? Now I no longer have to ever do any work at all. Now I just get to sit around and play video games all day and be a loser all day and just let life pass me by and do nothing all day long and just sit on the couch all day. And then, I have to go be a slave at some job that I hate. And now my life's just over when I get out of school. For me, it was the exact opposite. You know what I mean? For me, I'm someone who I read a ton of books, guys. I like to read books because I like to learn stuff. You know what I mean? I like to pursue knowledge. I like to pursue meaning. I like to work on myself. You know what I mean? I go to the gym a lot. You know what I'm saying? I invest in myself. I am someone who enjoys life. You know what I mean? I like to live life. And I get life is hard. You know what I mean? It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I'm still someone who's here for it, if that makes sense. I'm someone who is here for the experience of life. You know what I mean? The entire journey of life, not just the school, not just the beginning of your life. 'Cause when you really think about, the entire timeline of a life, given that you have the, God willing, you are able to live a long life and you don't, pass away early, because any one of us could die at any moment, you know what I mean, for any reason. But when you really think of the whole arc of a life, when you're in school, that is such a small part of your life. And a lot of times it's a very meaningless part of your life as well. It's like there's so many people that just live for school. You know what I mean? They just live for school. That's the only meaning that they have in their life, and then when they get out, they're just nothing. You know what I mean? That's never made sense to me. That's never made sense to me at all, because when you get out of school, you're still such a young person. You're like in your early 20s, roughly. You know what I mean? When you're in your early 20s, you're basically still a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are basically still a kid and you have your entire life journey ahead of you. People don't seem to understand this. They think life ends when you turn 21, when you turn 22, 25, whatever. They think that's when life ends. And for a lot of people that is the case because they just give up on their life. You know what I mean? They just don't, like, life is overwhelming for them in many ways. It's like they can't handle what's right in front of them. You know what I'm saying? It's just too overwhelming for them, so they just give up and they just live in fear forever, right? But I'm the exact opposite, guys. For me, when you get out of school and you enter the quote unquote real world, that should be the beginning of your learning journey in many ways. That's not to discredit everything you learn in school. The things you learn in school are some of the things are important. It's good to learn history. It's good to learn basic math and reading and English and skill and those kind of skills and things like that. And then you can go to college to learn what you want to learn and shit like that. But so I'm not trying to discredit everything that you learn in school. Some of those things are important, but most of it's not. You know what I mean? Most of it's not. Most of it's pretty useless shit, and you forget a lot of it when you get out. But again, the point of what I'm saying is, for me, the moment I got out of school and entered the real world, my life began in many ways. And for a lot of you watching this video, that was also the case. Because it was almost like the quote unquote shackles were removed, right, from this this big brother school system, right? And finally you could just be you. You could just be who you wanted to be, and you could live life the way you wanted to live it, and you could pursue the things that you wanted to pursue. You know what I mean? You could do what you wanted to do. You could learn what you wanted to learn. And this idea that learning ends when you get out of school, I think is the biggest lie in the world. You know what I mean? Because who the hell gets out of school and enters the real world in their early 20s and just immediately thinks they know it all? Like, who thinks like that? You know what I mean? When you are in your early 20s, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. You know what I mean? You don't know anything about what this life is and what this world is all about. You really don't. And so when you are entering the real world for the first time, once you're done with school, that to me is now it's the time to really, really get going. Now that's the time to really ramp up the learning. That's the time to really ramp up the, being open and taking in wisdom and learning things about the world itself and about yourself and about people and about human beings and about, what this life is all about, what this world is all about, learning about society, you know what I mean? Learning about how jobs work, learning about how to make money, learning about how to be a good relationship partner, learning about how to be a good friend, learning about how to be a good father, a good brother, a good mother, a good sister, a good daughter, all these different things. Learning how to be a person, you know what I mean? Being you. Once you're out of school, that's the time where you get to be you. You know what I mean? That's now it's no longer about trying to act cool and popular and trying to pretend like you're just like everybody else and fit in and follow all the social trends and be just like everyone else and just try to fit in and shit like that. When you're in school, you're never really being yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might be for a little bit, but you're probably going to be rejected if you're being your true self in school, because in school, no one's being their real self. Everybody's trying to fit in and act cool and shit. You know what I mean? And follow the trends, like I said, and that kind of thing. And it's like when you're in school, it's almost like your identity is given to you in many ways. So if you're a person who has a real identity within yourself, as soon as you're done with all that school shit, then it's like, now you can be you. Now you can really live your life, right? That's when the floodgates open, if you will. That's when you're free to do what you want to do, right? And I'm not going to sit here and act like you're totally free, because we all have to work a job. We all have to make money and things like this. We all have to, a lot of times, do things that we don't necessarily want to do. That way we can get digital numbers to, sustain our existence, right? So I'm not saying that you're just totally, completely free when you get out of school. You're not, but you are free in the sense that now you can just be. You know what I'm saying? Now you can just live your life and do the things you want to do and things like that. So that part is true. But yeah, your learning journey never ends when you get out of school. That's the biggest lie in the world. That's really the beginning of your search for knowledge and search for wisdom and things like that. You know what I mean? It's cool to be book smart and stuff like that. It's cool to have like book knowledge and shit like that. But you never, when you're in school, you don't have worldly knowledge, you don't have wisdom, you don't have common knowledge, you don't have common sense and things like that. And again, common sense is not common, right? Especially in today's society. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say here is that you're learning your search for wisdom and knowledge and learning and understanding doesn't end when you get out of school. It's only really just beginning, and it's really only beginning to ramp up, because again, like when you think about it, the human brain, the human mind, they say doesn't fully form until the age of 25. You know what I'm saying? And me, I'm 26 at the time of this recording, so in theory, my brain has only just fully developed a year ago. So now it's like, now I can really take in knowledge, now I can really take in understanding and actually get it, because my brain just finished fully developing. So that's when you can start to actually pursue real knowledge and real wisdom and real understanding, that the human condition is about, right? Because what other purpose do we have as human beings other than to pursue understanding and to pursue knowledge and to pursue meaning? If you're not doing that, what are you doing? Just sitting around having meaningless conversations with meaningless people that you don't care about, playing meaningless games, watching meaningless entertainment all day? Like, what if you're not pursuing meaning and purpose? What are you doing on the planet? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. Are you just suffering all the time? Like, we all suffer on the planet, you know what I mean? We all suffer. We're all going to find suffering here on this planet, but that's not what life is all about. It's not just completely about suffering and that's it. You know what I mean? You have to get yourself out of that. You got to pursue meaning. You got to figure out how to end your suffering. You know what I mean? You got to figure out, you got to do some searching. You got to do some soul searching here. You got to do some pursuit of knowledge. You got to do some pursuit of understanding. That's largely a big point and a big purpose of existing, is to figure out what this existence is all about. But yeah, especially this generation today, guys. I'm Gen Z. Okay, I'm an older Gen Z. I was born in the year 1999. Okay, so I was born born at the pinnacle of the inception of the internet, right? So I did kind of grow up on the internet. And the older I get, the more I'm starting to realize how bad that is, how bad the internet is for the minds of us. It's social media in many ways is kind of a form of mind control. That's really what it is. They want to keep you looking at a cell phone all the time. They want to keep you from understanding who you really are. They want to keep you from living your life ultimately. It's like they want, in many ways, the people that run our world, they want you to just give up on your existence completely and just let the internet and social media take over your whole life. They want that because they want cattle, essentially. That's what they want. They don't want independent thinkers. They don't want people that have a mind of their own, you know what I mean, that can understand this stuff and that can seek wisdom and seek understanding so they can have an idea of what the hell is going on in this world. They don't want that. They want a stupid population. They want a dumb population that are easy to control, that is never going to question anything, that's never going to, learn the truth and the reality that they live in. That's what they want, especially here in the United States. This is absolutely the case in America. I mean, the average American is getting dumber by the day, and I think that's by design. I think that's what they want. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm no exception. You know what I mean? I use social media. I don't use social media as much as the average person. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I do have Twitter or X, and I do obviously have YouTube, like I'm talking to you guys through right now. But I fight back against the technology stuff. I fight back against the social media. I don't just let it completely control my existence. So I am different in that way, but I'm still someone who is a human being, and I'm still subject to this kind of stuff just like anyone else. So, with that said, that's basically the video, guys. Your learning journey does not end when you get out of school. It's only just really beginning. You're only just beginning to understand or start to understand what this life is all about and what this reality is all about and what you're here to do and what, the human condition is all about. So that's the video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. My name is John. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate you watching.